Let's see what Charlie Kirk had to say.
We have some amazing guests this hour. In fact, we're guest heavy today, and it's because the news warrants it. We have Bruce Gilley, who's a professor of political science, joining us, all about British colonialism, a very provocative topic that will assuredly make the media lose their mind about how British colonialism actually made the world decent, separation of powers, habeas corpus, freedom of speech, individual property rights, the respect and the dignity of the individual. Where did all those come from? The Magna Carta, the great thinkers of Edmund Burke to Shakespeare. Why is it that the world actually became more civil? Well, certain cultures are better than others, saying
this is literally the exact same guiding, this is the same guiding principle. This is the same guiding principle that justified British Empire back when it existed, okay? What he's saying is unironically the oldest fucking take of all time. That a colonial superpower is actually the civilizing force. Americans did this with the native population, right? Like, Americans did this with the indigenous population. They said, like, well, we were the fucking civilizing force against the indigenous population here who were barbarians. They were doing cannibalism. They were killing each other. And we came and killed all of them, right? So, in a way, it's just, you know, the tale as old as time itself. Now, the idea is silly, especially because it's might is right politics, and that attitude is how you justify Nazi regime too, okay? My man's hairline is all kinds of busted, by the way. Maybe someone should maybe the Imperial forces should fucking colonize your hairline, fix that shit up, civilize that shit, brother. What the fuck? But there is no difference here than some fucking royal barker saying this shit way back in the day. Okay?
Saying that out loud is a thought crime. British colonialism was the most benign global empire ever, and it's kind of sparked this conversation after the tragic...
Bro, they did chattel slavery. What the fuck is he talking about? What do you mean the most benign? Brother, even Winston Churchill, and just what Winston Churchill did in Bengal is like, it's like he said benign, like they did genocide. There is nothing benign about that. What the fuck?
And incredibly individual. Where did all those come from? The Magna Carta, the great thinkers of Edmund Burke to Shakespeare. Why is it that the world actually became more civil? Well, certain cultures are better than others. Saying that out loud is a thought crime. British colonialism was the most benign global empire ever, and it's kind of sparked this conversation after the tragic and incredibly unfortunate death of Queen Elizabeth, who was, by all accounts, an incredibly stoic and wise woman who loved her country, was also a devout woman of faith. And something that I'm very concerned about is that her death is only going to continue the secularization of Great Britain. It seems as if as the bloodline continues...
That's really funny. At least he acknowledges the British Empire is more benign than the American Empire. No, he doesn't acknowledge that. Listen, dude. Listen. I mean, this is just giving the fucking game away. Okay, it's just giving the game away. You're literally, and this is exactly the same energy as like so many of these motherfuckers who were upset with my commentary on the matter. You're just an animal at that point. You don't know what you're doing. You're just reacting to fucking shapes on the screen. You're reacting in the most predictable way possible. You're just fucking, you're like, oh, dude, immediately I have to defend those in power. That's what I have to do. That's my job. I have to defend those in power. That's what my role is here. This is a person who is powerful. I have to defend white supremacy. I have to defend empire. I have to defend that plunder as best as I can, even if it's literally the fucking even if it's literally the empire that you know, the founding fathers who he loves escaped from and fought back against. The irony of Kirk saying separation of church and state is a good thing and then saying secularism is bad. Yeah, I know.
People that will now be taking the throne, literally, and taking the crown, do not have the reverence for the church like she does. Or she did, I'm sorry.
Hold on. American Republicans running defense for a genocidal empire saying American Republicans are running defense for a genocidal empire saying it was a civilizing force to his subjects. Running defense for a genocidal empire saying it was a civilizing force. It's the civilizing force, man. These fuckers are racist as fuck. Exactly. Look, it's just like he is trapped. Charlie Kirk here is trapped. He's bound. You know what I mean? You tweet very feminine. What man tweets or has a Twitter? I mean, I guess, yeah. I mean, I'm very feminine trait. You're right. I mean, you literally voted for a woman. Then, for the record, you voted for Donald Trump, who tweets more than I do. So he is trapped in this bind. He's bound here to the idea of white supremacy and defending white supremacist attitudes and defending imperialism, right? But also, America fought back against the British Empire. And that was kind of like one of the best things that the founding fathers did. You know what I mean? So, like, what? Like, was the British Empire going to be a far superior mode of governance than the American Constitution? Because that is a disgustingly anti-American take. I mean, holy shit. Can, on the one hand, hail American emancipation, American freedom, American liberty. You can't fucking celebrate 4th of July, basically, is what I'm saying, while simultaneously saying that the British Empire was a civilizing force for good. Interesting to know that when having to choose between white supremacy and American patriotism, they choose white supremacy. Yeah. Well, they're also, the other reason is because the American foundation is also centered around white supremacy. We already knew that, though, but this is just another example of this. Americans did a total of 2 good things for the world and decided that work was done. And now they're allowed to do infinitely more evil shit. And it's all justified because they did 2 good things. Yeah, defeating the Nazis with the help of the USSR and also defeating the British Empire. That is wild, though. It is inherently a contradicting take. Anyway, not that these people give a shit, but wild.